now everyone, Matt Haywood from the Star Wars Time Show to do the Easter egg and Star Wars franchise reference, recap, breakdown, whatever you want to call it, for the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, which was titled The Core Problem, S1E17. We got 7 to go through, so let's get on with this Easter egg and franchise reference breakdown. Alright, up first we have a reference, and it's actually a Star Wars Resistance reference in Star Wars Resistance. That's how long this show's been around now, isn't it fantastic? Anyways, so Poe shows up back on the Colossus, and he's kind of joking with Kaz and says, well, you are the best pilot in the galaxy, right? And that goes back again, that's a reference to the pilot episode of the show in which Kaz kind of said that jokingly, and then Niku ran with it and spread the rumor throughout the Colossus station. So I thought it was kind of cool that they made a reference back to that in this episode. Next up, we have another reference, an audible reference at that, and it happens when Kaz and Poe are trying to leave the Colossus. They gotta sneak off, so they're doing some crazy ass like surfing type of maneuver. But anyways, the fireball being the fireball, it doesn't start, and when its engines fail, it sounds very similar to how the Falcon sounded throughout the entirety of Empire Strikes Back when it was having engine problems, hyperdrive problems. And I also think there was a hint of Anakin's pod racer having engine problems in there too. So again, a nice little audible reference to the prequel trilogy and the originals. Alright, so here we have a visual reference, and this one is actually a visual reference to The Force Awakens. So Kaz and Poe, they're in the unknown regions following up on some of the intel Kaz has. And they notice that a lot of the planets are cracked, hollowed out. But they also make the revelation that the sun is gone. And we know why, and that's because Starkiller Base charges its weapon by draining a system's sun. So they essentially stumbled upon these training grounds, testing grounds for early Starkiller Base fires, more than likely. Alright, our next interesting find, I don't really know what to classify it. I mean, it's part Easter egg, it's part reference. And that's because we get this First Order probe droid, which looks very similar to an Imperial probe droid, but it's not dead on. So I can't really call it a full-on Easter egg. It's not like they're repurposing an old Imperial probe droid, but they definitely referenced it in its design. So we'll go with a hybrid egg reference type of deal with this one. So here's the second Star Wars Resistance reference within this episode of Star Wars Resistance. So if you look here, I'm almost positive that symbol is the same symbol that is on Kel and Isla's little wood thing that they brought with them in the Children from Tehar episode. You can see Doza was holding it, looking at it, thinking about it. So there's a good chance the planet that Kaz and Poe on are in the unknown regions that's basically wiped out is Tehar. And possibly they're seeing something from Project Resurrection, which if you played Battlefront 2, know that was the plan, to take little kids, conscript them into the First Order Army, and turn them into its battalions. Alright, now we have another auditory reference, and this one I believe is to a line spoken by Luke to R2 in The Empire Strikes Back. So anyways, Poe and Kaz are on this planet, I'm guessing Tehar, and you know, they're being spied on by a probe droid, and Poe says, I have the feeling like we're being watched, which is very similar to what Luke says to R2 as Yoda is spying on them. So, a great little line carried over from Empire into this episode of Resistance. Alright, so the last Simon note's probably my favorite, maybe of the season, definitely this episode, and it's an Easter egg. And we learn that this is the X-Wing that Poe takes with him to Jakku to go see Lor San Tekka to get the Luke Skywalker star map. So the way we know this, in this episode, Poe tells Kaz, I'm being sent on a mission to Jakku by General Leia, and I need to take BB-8 back. So at the end of this mission to the unexplored regions, they swap droids, which was awesome. They literally passed droids mid-air. It was badass. You had CB and BB high-fiving on their way through 0G into their cockpits. But either way, this is essentially the moment where Poe heads off with BB-8 to go get the Skywalker star map from Lor San Tekka. So I thought this was an awesome Easter egg. That's why he didn't have his black starfighter. That's why he's in a standard issue starfighter for the Resistance. So awesome stuff. All right, people, thanks for watching. We had a lot in this one. Some references back to the Resistance series itself, but also a bunch for the new trilogy, The Force Awakens. Things are coming in line. Love this show. All right, people, thanks for watching. Matt Haywood here for the Star Wars Time Show, because there's always time for Star Wars time, right? Don't forget that. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Hit us up on iTunes for the podcast. We're also on Google Play, soon to be on Stitcher. You can get us anywhere, basically. If you have an RSS feed reader, you can listen. All right, may the Force be with you, always.